Fuck you. Sonic the Hedgehog, a staple in the gaming industry and one of the most recognizable icons in said genre. This character is the main mascot for the company Sega, who at one point rivaled Nintendo for best video games and consoles around 1990. You all know the classic Genesis titles, 2D sprite-based platformers that were massively popular, pioneering gaming as a whole, boosting Sega's career, you get the idea. But eventually, over time, the Sonic the Hedgehog series as a whole would move on from this style of gameplay, attempting new feats of various standards, rarely ever going back to its roots. And during this ever-changing evolution, through the years the high status Sonic had built for himself was quickly fading as quality and fan approval seemed to drop with almost every new installment of the franchise past Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And while this character is still one of the biggest icons in video games, he definitely doesn't have the same positive reception that he used to. He's experienced so much criticism in the past decades that making fun of his image is something that's just normal now, even to Sega themselves. And I could go on and on about each game and why this could possibly be the case, but today I want to look at one specific branch off this tree of mediocrity. What is a proud part of Sega and Sonic Team's lineup of attempts, and that is Sonic the Hedgehog 4. 16 years later, after the release of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, they, I guess, wanted to make the next sequel in this specific lineup of 2D platformers, slapping a big ol' number 4 right at the end of that name, for what I'm very sure are non-financial related reasons. Honestly though, this one has eluded me for the longest time. Whenever the game was brought to my attention, I would kinda look past it as an obscure bad game everyone just collectively hated. But just the fact that everything about its existence is so bizarre got me to finally check it out. So I recently picked this thing up on PC in order to play it for myself, because even though this game is known for being bad, doesn't mean it is. At least not until I try it for myself. Like they say, it's always best to experience things firsthand instead of forming an opinion based on what others think. So with that, I'm gonna play through this in order to tell you how to feel about it. Here it is! I haven't even pushed a single button, and the low quality has already violently shot me in the face. What is this fucking title screen? He's just completely still. Just a static image with his hand rotating at like, what, 3 countable frames? How is it that a game from 1991 made Sonic look more alive than this? Probably due to the inclusion of an actual expression. Here you can tell he's ready for an adventure. Here, you can tell this adventure is going to be on a budget. Whatever, I guess I'm willing to look past this since we haven't experienced pretty much any of the game yet, so let's go ahead and get this started with the first level, Splash Hill Zone. Yeah, very subtle. Regardless, I can work with this. I cannot work with this. Okay, so first thoughts, someone clearly doesn't know how to shade, that is a creepy ass moto bug, and this goddamn movement. No, seriously, getting up to top speed is actually horrendous, as it takes forever just to start running. Like Sonic constantly has a ball and chain attached to him at all times. Not only that, but whenever you're moving at any speed, whether in the air or on the ground, God forbid you let go of that control stick, because if you do, all momentum just kills over. Boom. Gone. Why? I'm amazed how abysmal these first impressions are going so far. Like, is it really that hard to recreate the physics from the classic Sonic games? The answer is no, by the way. Hell, even the Speed Shoe power-up, with the sole purpose of making you faster, barely affects the amount of time it takes to accelerate. It's pathetic. You know, the funny thing is, when I first saw footage of this game, I genuinely thought it looked fine. I believe the hate was undeserved, but look at me now, I get to be a part of the majority. The only benefit I could find to Sonic's mechanics is the addition of the homing attack, which allows you to lock on and destroy enemies in midair, as well as receive an extra boost to help gain speed much faster. Now normally this adventure-style move would be seen as unfitting for a game attempting to mimic the classic 2D side-scrollers, and typically I'd agree. But I'm sorry, here it's just a godsend that makes the entire game way less annoying. Look at this comparison. When a move helps this much, thematics don't seem to be that big of an issue now, do they? Moving on a little further into the game, after clearing the first act, you are able to access the world map that allows you to choose from 4 total zones to play in whatever order. Incoming the part where I give this game a compliment. I actually really enjoy being able to hop between any zone I want to beat the game. It gives the player more accessibility than the previous 2D titles had, so that's a positive. And that's all I got. So, doing that thing I just talked about, we find out that each area consists of its own quote-unquote very own theme alongside one or more unique gimmicks used to complete the stage, similar to how every torture tool has its own style of causing pain. I should also mention that each zone is split up into 3 acts, something only the first Sonic game did. A questionable decision that dragged the zones out for far too long, and what ended up getting fixed in Sonic 2 and 3. Rehashing old concepts, I guess, includes the bad ones. To be fair, I'm pretty sure this was only done because of the whopping amount of 4 zones in this entire game, which is a total sin in itself, but I'll get to that in a bit. Steering back on track here, let's go ahead and discuss the levels, starting with the already seen Splash Hill Zone. And other than how green those hills are, it's not that bad. Level design is solid enough, though that doesn't save it from being underwhelming and forgettable. Only once we get to the second act do we actually see anything new, and really all it is just some vines to swing on that aren't even placed somewhere natural. They're just kinda floating there, awkwardly. And in the third stage, we get a sunset theme, which is kinda nice, as well as these hang gliders. Yeah, I know I'm reaching here, but what else can I say? It's Green Hill. The checkered dirt, the enemies, the theme. I mean, wouldn't it have been easier just to have this literally be Green Hill instead of some parody? My guess is that was the original idea, but then they wouldn't have been able to call this Sonic 4. So a compromise had to be made, leading to where we are now. Oh yeah, and as for the boss fight at the end, figures. Anyways, after that, the next zone is Casino Street Zone, which is all casino and no street. All I can say about this one is it's a ripoff of Casino Night Zone from Sonic 2. I got stuck on this part with the cannons and bumpers for about 30 minutes wanting to blow my f***ing brains out, and these flipping cards can suck my ass. Boss is also another copy. Lost Labyrinth Zone. Are you starting to notice a theme here? Why Labyrinth Zone? You're allowed to not be an asshole, Sega. It's not gonna kill you. Luckily, this place isn't nearly as difficult as its inspiration. The level design is competent at most, and we're given multiple gimmicks throughout each stage that I will now show, and you gotta tell me if they look fun or not. See, I knew we'd agree. The only gameplay feature that was actually somewhat memorable here was this torch you hold in Act 2 that lets you light things up in both a luminous and explosive way. Nothing that impressive or exciting, of course, just vaguely enjoyable. Minus this part where you have to light torches in a specific order that I managed to get stuck on for far too long. Why they put puzzles in a game with a time limit, I have no idea. But other than that, it's literally a less shitty Labyrinth Zone. After reaching the boss of this area though, we get our first original fight, right after a less original segment. I could be wrong, but I'm presuming this battle right here doesn't take inspiration from another Sonic game. And it's bullshit. Wow, this was their first attempt doing something original. I'm sorry I asked for this. So, you gotta hit Robotnik while avoiding these pillars, right? That constantly keep trying to crush you in different patterns. However, you need to use those pillars to be able to land any hits, which isn't something that should be too bad, unless, of course, the game, for some reason, doesn't provide you with those clear openings. Oh, hey, I just realized. Anyways, moving on. Next up on the chopping block is Mad Gear Zone. Metropolis? Yep, looks like it. They actually just took us straight from Labyrinth to Metropolis. I've never been so actively told to go f*** myself. They were trying to make this game good, right? Does Sonic Team know something I don't, or do they just hate profits? You know what? It's fine, alright? Lost Labyrinth really wasn't all that bad. If anything, the team behind this were probably recreating these zones to give them another chance at being good, is what I thought to myself for the first minute and 30 seconds of this level. No joke, it's worse. Same unfair enemies, even more of these, and terrible new gimmicks. This gear takes so long to use, and it doesn't actually do anything worthwhile. As for the boss, it's just a copy-paste with a bit of chase sequence. It's kinda challenging, sure. Still not impressed. And that's literally it for the zones. For the most part, all the levels and gimmicks are painfully mediocre and extremely unoriginal. Mix that with horrendous momentum and controls, and you get no greater response than... Regardless, once all zones are completed, a new one will appear, housing the final boss battle, which is essentially just all the fights we've done prior, back to back, like some kind of boss rush mode, with one last challenge at the end of it all to defeat the Death Egg robot, the same one from Sonic 2. Oh, sorry, is that not surprising anymore? Also, did I mention how much this boss battle is bad? First of all, I died like 15 times on this segment with the moving pillars, and second off, I died 15 more times at the Death Egg robot because there was a significant lack of instructions on what to do. Especially at the very last phase where you're supposed to hit the mech within a time frame of like 3 seconds after it dive bombs to the ground. But because there was no indication I had to do so, nor enough brain in my head to piece it together, I almost went into cardiac arrest. Oh, my heart stopped. And once the boss is beaten, you get a nice rehash of the ending scene from Sonic 1. Cool. Oh, but it isn't over yet, ladies and gentlemen. We still have to get the Chaos Emeralds. Once again, hidden away in special stages that you can access by how else other than collecting 50 rings and jumping through the big ring at the end of any stage. Predictably, these are very similar to the special stages seen in Sonic 1, where you traverse a maze at the mercy of gravity while constantly stuck as a ball. However, this time around, you now control the rotation of the stage instead of Sonic himself. The objective is to collect enough rings to pass through these barriers, avoid goals, and reach the Chaos Emerald before the timer runs out. So, you know, different enough. And while this is happening, we're accompanied by very soft music with a kaleidoscope in the background that gives off a very unsettling feeling, and I can't explain why. But it doesn't take away from the fact that these stages are complete horse shit. There are 7 of these things to go through, and I was struggling just trying to get through the 3rd, as I would always either run out of time or hit a goal point. Not to mention the fact that if you fail, you have to get back to the big ring, meaning traversing the same level over and over again until you actually can succeed. Plus, once you do get a Chaos Emerald in one stage, you can't go back and get another one there. You're only allowed 1 emerald per act, which is just awesome. A good strategy I picked up here is to save Splash Hill, the easier areas, for the last few special stages, as they will probably take the most retries, and just get the first 4 somewhere else. But even those, like I mentioned before, are a bit of a challenge. However, against my concerningly low patience and all odds, I apparently did it, which is a shock to me. So now all that's left to do is collect 50 rings in any stage, and boom. Euphoria. I like this. For one, becoming supersonic makes you significantly faster, completely fixing that painfully slow acceleration. Also, invincibility is a plus, and unlike the classic games, these levels have so many rings in them that running out is pretty difficult, meaning it doesn't require that much skill to stay super. On top of that, he just looks cool. Oh, and if you're wondering, the only difference when beating the game with all emeralds is a teaser and a supersonic variant of the end screen. But this time, you can only get it to work by collecting the rings you run by at the ending scene, which... what? Okay, I guess. And for the record, why is this something that you need to figure out how to get? Isn't getting the emeralds and beating the game enough? I swear, I've tried this thing so many times, and I finally got it, but it was a pain in the ass. I had to look up the order of these rings, because there is no feasible way you could actually know. It's not a quick time, it's not like a quick reaction thing. This is something that requires trial and error. But the only way to get back to this screen is to defeat the entire boss again, which takes like 15 minutes. It's so stupid. It is so stupid. It's so stupid. I did it, but it's stupid. Well, that's pretty much Sonic 4, an overburnt amalgamation of already seen concepts. Like, I get it, okay, they wanted to tie this game in with the other classic Genesis titles. That's why it's called Sonic the Hedgehog 4. But this was not the way to go. A true sequel would actually give us things we haven't seen before in order to have its own feel. Rather, the whole experience comes off like I'm just being told, hey, remember this and how much you liked it? Well, now it's dog shit. I don't get excited seeing these old things in another game again. I want new stuff. This just makes me want to play the game it originated from instead. Oh, and the music. No offense to the composer, I'm aware they're capable of making amazing songs, like the soundtrack from Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Adventure 2, but this soundtrack doesn't even come close in comparison to the Genesis titles. It may be the instruments used, I'm not entirely sure, as I'm in no way an expert on this stuff, but they lack that Sonic feel, seeming more like a poor emulation, which is honestly an accurate description of this entire game. It's just... man, I have so many questions. For example, how did this make it past any stage of development? I honestly don't think I've hated myself this much while playing a video game before. But, you know, truthfully, there was some real potential here. With a graphical makeover, some fine-tuning to the controls, original locations, and better gimmicks, I bet it could have been a competent platformer. So, you know, basically, if they made the game good, then it'd be good. Who'd have thought? But unfortunately, we don't live in that universe. And to keep my word, if you're still wondering why this game seems so short with only 4 main zones to its name, well, I'm afraid I've been lying to you all along. This isn't called Sonic the Hedgehog 4. It's actually called Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1. This is only the first half of a 2-part game, similar to how Sonic & Knuckles is the second half of Sonic 3. It seems even Sega's marketing strategy is a rehashed idea from classic Sonic. But I'm gonna go ahead and save the Sonic 4 sequel for another day in light of my fleeting morality. So my final thoughts on this game, if you can avoid playing it, then please do so. Hey, you need to finish the game.
What the fuck?
I know this looks confusing, but you need to continue playing. Where's your TV? Oh, it's over there. This is just for visual effect. Hey, can we talk about who you are and why you look like me? You do have the game on here, right?
Okay, I guess not.
Hey, hello, focus. You're not listening to me. No, you're not listening to me. And if beating this game's so important, why don't you do it yourself? Huh. I'm still not doing it. Shut the fuck up! You don't have a say in this. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. After everything I just experienced, this is more like a tempting invitation. Oh, my foot! Still tempting? You know what I meant. I really don't. Fuck you. Play episode 2. No. Ah, fine. Sonic the Hedgehog 4, episode 2. Fuck. 2 years later, they saw how great episode 1 performed and were like, yeah, let's do this again. Obviously, a sequel was always planned from the start, even having ideas for it brainstormed before the first one even came out. And development on this project would start not too long after 1's release. During this time, it was also hinted that the whole thing would have a larger budget, as well as the intention to add new locations this time that people have never seen before. We even got confirmation later on that Tails and Metal Sonic would be making a return, which I could only assume was pretty exciting news. But the real excitement was seeing if they actually improved upon their mistakes. This was a chance to redeem Sonic the Hedgehog 4, to prove it could actually live up to that title. So let's not waste any more time and find out already. 2012's Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. They didn't fix the title screen. What is that? Wow, that is choppy. This is the bigger budget in action, everyone. They sure showed us. Oh, also Sonic 2 inspiration. It's not surprising, but I'm obligated to point it out. However, god damn it, I said it once, I'll say it again, I am very willing to look past this since we haven't experienced pretty much any of the game yet, so let's continue. Starting this off, and after a quick cutscene with Sonic and Tails riding the tornado, we're immediately thrusted into Sylvania Castle, the first zone, and oh my god, they did it! Real shading! And what's that? The movement doesn't suck. I mean, it's no classic Sonic, but at least it doesn't take the length of a whole level just to start running at top speed. And speaking of running, the animation of said action looks less stupid now too. Once again, we have the homing attack, as well as pretty much the rest of Episode 1's moveset. Except this time around, Tails is with us, bringing along some new moves. First one being the flight ability, that can be used for a short amount of time to get to higher places. So, your standard Tails stuff. The second one is a more powerful spin attack. It's faster than a spin dash, used to break through obstacles you normally couldn't otherwise, and looks stupid. That's pretty much about it. I mean, I want to say he's slightly more useful than he was in the Genesis titles, but if anything, it's the exact opposite. Yes, you do need him to progress in the game, which in theory sounds helpful, but that's only because the developers forced him to be that way. Think about Sonic 3. If you had Tails following along as a second player, he could bring Sonic back up if you fail to jump, or just help you access areas of a level you wouldn't be able to otherwise. However, none of it was required to beat the game. That's all optional. It essentially allows the player to have the ability to choose how they want to go about their playthrough. Tails is an aid, but it's not one forced upon you. Which is, honestly, how I believe Sonic Team should have handled him in this game too. Just without needing an additional player. Maybe add alternate paths to the levels that can only be accessed with Tails, or something. Going this route would even allow you to play as Sonic alone, or Tails alone. Which is something you can't do here at all. Regardless, after clearing the first act, we're sent to a new overworld here with 4 zones we can once again choose from. Not surprising, though it makes me wonder why this isn't all just one game to begin with. I guess if this game turns out to be much better, then that may be more of a blessing if anything. So now we got our same routine to follow as previously experienced. 3 acts, then a boss fight. Like I mentioned before, Sylvania Castle is zone number 1 on the list. Here we go. Of course I need to restate how gorgeous this place looks, but visuals aside, it's a pretty fun zone. There's an old ruins theme going on here, with the bottom half of the stage being taken up by water, which is a good way to incentivize the player to stay at the top. Oh, this is Aquatic Ruin Zone. What the fuck? Look at that, we even get a hint of Marble Garden. So I guess that promise of new locations that we have quote-unquote never seen before was a lie. Not surprising in the least. I'll reiterate, as far as level design goes, it's still fun in the end, and this night theme in Act 3 is a very nice effect. But, man, more than anything, I just really wanted to play through this zone without going, this thing was obviously taken from this thing, every time I encounter literally anything. Look, even the start of the boss fight is a psych out of Aquatic Ruins boss, proof I'm not looking too deep into this. Luckily, however, that's where all the similarities seem to end, for this zone at least, as we proceed to take on the first Eggman battle. And, well, as far as these fights go, it's pretty alright. No fucking way! Overall, it's really easy. All you have to do is fly up with Tails and hit him a few times while avoiding attacks. But truthfully, when has the first boss ever been difficult? I'm just happy this isn't recycled from anything. At least to my knowledge. Continuing on, we're brought into Oil Desert Zone. I feel like I'm losing my mind, constantly pointing out obvious similarities, being mad at them, then moving on to the next thing that I'll ultimately find the same problem with. This is the embodiment of Sonic 4, and I was really hoping it would be different this time around. Again, it's not a one-to-one recreation. Hell, the level design barely resembles that of Oil Ocean, or even Sandopolis for that matter. The theme is just subtle enough to make it seem like Sonic Team is having a lot of trouble letting go of the past. Like they want to move on and make something new, but at the same time assume being too original will make casual audiences feel alienated. Obviously, this may not be the actual thought process behind it all, it's just the kind of feel I get when playing. So to not constantly retread old ground, let's shift focus. I personally didn't find Oil Desert Zone that fun to play through. It's another home to many of the problems I have with a lot of these stages from both episodes 1 and 2, where I'm constantly put to a halt by some gimmick or enemy, especially these fuckers with the rolling bombs. I have to stand there and wait before I can actually kill them. There's also this long section that requires Tails, and it's just a glass half empty of I don't give a piss. Then there's the traditional boss fight. Damn thing took twice as long to beat than all 3 prior levels combined. So, the arena is constantly rising, boxes are falling that will hurt you, attacks are removing the floor from under you, all the while you're required to land hits whenever the occasional opening shows itself. After a few attempts, it does get easier to manage, especially when my wussy ass uses Tails. However, the part that really messed me up was Phase 2. Once finally reaching the top, Eggman's mech will start jumping between the foreground and background, requiring you to use that duo spin attack on him as that sign right here clearly displays. That being the case, I could not figure out what I was supposed to do, as I failed to notice the flashing weak point right there, and instead proceeded to throw myself at every spot that would kill me instead. To rub that salt in a little more, I only needed to hit him once at that point to beat him. A total flaw on my part, and not the game itself, but it's still just not a fun boss battle in the slightest. Though once that's over with, we continue to White Park Zone. Oh, it's new. Yeah, sure, snow isn't the most innovative of ideas, but we get it mixed with an amusement park, which in reality seems counterproductive, but just look at this. Amazing backgrounds are my weakness. No exaggeration, this is the best thing I have seen come from this entire game. The acts themselves are pretty enjoyable too, with barely any progression halting annoyances, believe it or not. Especially the level that takes place on a roller coaster track, the closest to an actual good Sonic level we've gotten so far. And the boss fight at the end is against Metal Sonic. Yes, he's back as promised, and you know what? I'm having fun. Despite this bullshit attack where the floor gets destroyed without any warning. But I did always prefer bosses where you're endlessly running, which is nice, and in all honesty, it's better than Generation's Metal Sonic battle, being slightly more difficult and interesting, which I assume amounts to something. Next up is Sky Fortress Zone. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those plain levels, the slow, automated, and terrible kind. These are pretty bad across every entry, so by default this was always going to be a flawed stage. Not to mention, enemy and platform placement was poorly thought out, with a mini-boss at the end that leaves no indication it's actually supposed to be something you need to take out. There's this spin move that's required in specific areas, but I don't care. Mercifully though, this only goes on for one act, with 2 and 3 being... who am I kidding? Being Wing Fortress Zone with some forgettable gimmicks, albeit decent level design. Metal Sonic shows up once more as this zone's boss fight, and it's just... Yep, that's definitely a Sonic 4 Episode 2 Sky Fortress Zone boss. Wow, isn't that something? Oh look, we're going to space. Death Egg Mark II, the housing area of the final 2 battles. First one, obviously being against Metal Sonic. It's surprisingly piss easy. Just takes forever as it turns into a level halfway through. Then, after defeating him, we finally confront the final boss, and oh my god. So the weak point of this entire thing is in the center of these 3 rings, each varying in size. Of course, you start at the very bottom, and are required to climb your way up by using said rings. But with every hit you land, you're sent all the way back to the lowest point as more electricity covers the ground and pieces of the floor start to disappear. 40 minutes is how long I struggled. A pain in my ass and the biggest waste of time ever, cause it took that long to remember Tails f***ing existed, who could most definitely be very useful for problems involving GOING f***ing UP! Whatever. Point is, I did it. We jump into some escape pods this time instead of off the entire ship that's in space, and credits. So with that, we have complete... Wait a minute. No, what? So there's 7 Chaos Emeralds to collect. Again. Same entry rules apply, 50 rings during any stage, then jump into the bigger ring at the end. Yep, that's pretty much what I was expecting. The dreaded half-pipe special stages from Sonic 2 make their grand reappearance here, as a blessing generously bestowed upon us by those with creativity no larger than the box they think inside. For those unfamiliar with Sonic 2 and this type of special stage, it's basically an auto runner where you can only control Sonic going left and right. The idea is to collect the same amount of rings or higher than what is asked of you. Do so and you get to continue on to do the same thing 2 more times, with each one raising the number. And by successfully reaching all 3 required ring amounts, you'll be granted a Chaos Emerald. There are also bombs scattered across each stage that will deplete your rings if ran into, and these taser things that, like, slow you down, I guess. And in classic special stage fashion, the first few are pretty simple, but it's the last 3 that can be the biggest pieces of shit. Hell, I'd go as far as to call them more difficult than anything episode 1 threw at me, just based on how many times I've had to retry these ones in comparison. And yes, failing at any point in time, much like before, will boot you right out of the level. Now normally, this fact, mixed with the amount of attempts it took just to beat all of them, would very much drive me off the edge. However, while that is true, I found a way around it. See, this time, you can actually know when you're about to lose before it even happens, just by determining if you have enough rings or not right before reaching the end. And if not... Yeah, not entirely sure if this was intentional or an oversight, but it makes my life easier, so to me, it's a blessing. And with pure skill, I have obtained all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Why they needed collecting again when I'm pretty sure episode 2 takes place right after 1, I'm not sure. But who cares, I'm a golden god. Of course, this doesn't change the ending in any way, other than literally just removing the try again screen, so ouch, my pride. Okay, I'm done, can I go now? Except there's a multiplayer mode. You know, this would be easier if I had help. Well, actually, I did bring my own controller. Bitch! Ah, here's another thing episode 2's got over 1. Multiplayer. Don't get too excited, it's not the versus race thing from the Genesis titles. In fact, there's no racing at all. Nope, it's literally just the same game again, but a second player can now control Tails. Similar to that thing you can also do in Sonic 2 and 3. But this time with more emphasis on teamwork. Like even during the special moves and Sky Fortress Zone, player 2 is always helping out, which actually lets them feel useful instead of constantly dying off screen. The camera even zooms out when both characters are far away from each other, like in New Super Mario Bros. As far as co-op multiplayer in video games go, the more I play, the more I find it to be pretty competent, and depending on who you play with, also fun. Oh yeah, and at one point you could have done this all with someone random online. Although I find people playing this game at any moment in time hard to believe. Well, that was stupid, but I'm done now, right? Ha! No, you still got 4 more levels. Alright, this is probably the coolest thing to ever come from Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole. Apparently, if the player owns both Episode 1 and 2 on the same console, then an extra mode called Episode Metal will be unlocked within this game. And by that title, you can probably guess what that's all about. We can now play as Metal Sonic throughout a handful of levels built specifically for him. That's pretty wild considering how much Sega hates when people play as anyone other than Sonic nowadays. And according to this cutscene, all of this is supposed to take place right after Sonic CD, though how a crippled Metal Sonic is flying from Little Planet to here, I have no idea. Well, let's not waste any more time, and ooh. Oh, it's the map from episode 1. Wait, no. Oh, come on, this isn't even the one we're playing. Oh god, the shading is back too. Well, that's a code red. See you later. Apparently, these aforementioned acts are each individually themed after one of the zones from the prequel, as this whole episode takes place right after the events of that game, to kinda tie both stories together. But hey, on the bright side, the physics engine is still the updated version, and as for the levels themselves, they're a bit more challenging this time around. More traps and enemies, trickier platforming, all that great stuff to really make you wish you were anywhere else right now. Also, mechanic-wise, Metal Sonic controls literally exactly the same as Sonic. No different moves or anything of the sort, which I feel kinda defeats the purpose of wanting to play as this character. On top of that, you can't even use him for any of the stages from the main game, which is just... huh? So let me get this straight. We're finally allowed to play as Metal Sonic, which on paper is the coolest thing ever, but all we can do in execution is 4 short, mediocre, painful levels. How does one's idea of what consumers want fall so far away from the actual truth? It's starting to get impressive. And that's Sonic the Hedgehog 4 for ya. A certified ass blower. Somehow, we made our way through both episodes, and only half these mental scars will keep me up at night. Interestingly enough, Sega was planning on a 3rd installment to the series, but plans never fell through due to poor reception of the titles prior. That's a shocker. Looking back on this one though, if I'm being perfectly honest, I know I've been pretty harsh towards episode 2, but man, it is such a step up from its predecessor. The controls are a massive improvement, the whole presentation is visually stunning, and there were significantly more original ideas. But that all being the case, it still is definitely held back from its true potential by a lot of remaining issues that were present since the first game, such as the lackluster level design and some of the bosses being incredibly boring and unfun. Not to mention the newer flaws like you. Though even taking all this into consideration, I personally really believe that if episode 2 was actually released as the first episode, and Sonic Team only continued to improve upon it with its sequel, then Sonic 4 wouldn't have been looked down nearly as much. That's how much better it is overall compared to the first. The game's not perfect by any definition of the word, but at least here I can say I've enjoyed myself to a very strict extent. Done. That's it. That's all there is to see. I am finished. So now... hello? Huh. Well, I just learned a valuable life lesson today. Never take any chances. It will only lead to pain and sorrow. Also...